with this computer stuff.
Okay.
Oh, what did I just do with?
We're live.
Hello, good afternoon. And for you, those of you on the East Coast, we want to welcome you to the Festival of Storytellers. And we want to thank, first of all, the Festival of Storytellers and Jasper in particular, for providing us this platform in order for authors to get together and to let all of you know about our books and what we're doing, and allow you the opportunity to take notes. And if you want to purchase a book, all the better. And we also want to thank ReadersMagnet for having us be able to talk about our books and share everything with you, our audience. My name, first of all, is Nikki Geigert, and I'm the moderator. And I want to introduce Dorothea Gordon, who is our panelist. And lastly, Jo Ann Gramlich,
Gramlich,
as our featured author of the hour. So without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have had many careers. My first career was as a teacher, physical education teacher, and as a specialist in that area. Out of all the sports that I taught, gymnastics was my favorite. So it wasn't very long after I started teaching. I bought my own gymnastics school, and in fact, it was the largest recreational developmental gymnastics school in Northern California. And I had about 700 students. And before that, when I was teaching primarily preschoolers, one of my little students became National Olympian. I was also an instructor for USA Gymnastics, and my first venture into writing was a curriculum guide for my gymnastics school, and it sold many copies throughout the United States. And I was told that it was the Bible of the industry for preschool gymnastics. And after that, in teaching gymnastics, I told little stories to my little preschoolers. For example, Peter and Polly Possum, who hung upside down on the bars and from trees. And so I invited the children to pretend that they could be Peter or Polly Possum and hang upside down too. And so, that was so much more fun than, that's scary, type of thing. As soon as another little animal or something was like that was involved, they were fine to just jump in on it. And then because of that, I wrote a book called Read, Move, Learn, and it incorporates movement, music, and early literacy, much like Jo Ann is going to talk to you about. But this is pretty much the first book out there that did that. It's still for sale. If you want to contact me later, if you're a teacher or a parent that is homeschooling or anything like that. And then my next book out, because I travel, I've been on all 7 continents of the world. Family trip to magical Madagascar and beyond. It's traveling with family and includes history of Madagascar. This is my latest children's book, Who's Yawning Now? And I'm mainly a photographer. So that was, I slipped when I said photographer at first, but I am mainly a photographer. And all of my books include photography. So The Who's Yawning Now is a book about all of these animals yawning, where they live, what they eat, 3 interesting facts about them, and what their level of international endangerment is as far as going extinct. My latest book out is called A Girl's Greek Odyssey, and it's a trip to Greece that we took our niece on, and it's all about her adventures throughout Greece and Crete. So that's a little bit about me. And our panelist, Dorothea Gordon, is going to tell you a little bit about her and her writing experiences.
So thank you, Nikki. I think I'll just say hello to you from the west coast of Canada on Vancouver Island. And I also want to say thank you to ReadersMagnet for having allowed me to be the very last panelist that they hired. So it's been a wonderful experience. You probably can hear that I have a bit of an accent. I was born and educated in Bavaria, Germany. And I immigrated to Canada with my Canadian husband in the late 70s. Like Nikki, I have had several incarnations as professional incarnations. So I taught school and raised 2 children, and then I followed my curiosity and acquired a number of useful skills. I am a retired high school teacher for foreign languages, French, Spanish, and German. And I hold a certificate as a graphoanalyst, which is a handwriting analyst from the Graphoanalysis Institute in Chicago. And I've worked as a questioned document examiner and as an expert witness in the British Columbia Provincial and Supreme Courts in Victoria in the 1980s. I also have a certificate as a dream builder coach, where I inspire my client to follow their example, that follow their dreams. And I also combine my soul work with alternative healing modalities as a certified auricular laser technician and energy medicine practitioner. And my book, which I'm going to speak about now, has been endorsed by the world-renowned New York Times bestseller Donna Eden, author of Energy Medicine. So I'm the author now, that's my latest incarnation, of a spiritual memoir called When Life Has Other Plans, Discover the Hidden Gifts. And it's my true story as a woman whose life force had other plans than what I had for myself. So it reads a bit like an adventure story, but it describes how I left my native Bavaria. I studied in Boulder, Colorado to learn better English and about American culture, but I ended up in Canada, where I was introduced to my spiritual gifts through life lessons like a special needs child, a failed marriage, cancer, stroke, accidents, and all that forced much inner growth, which led to my becoming a spiritual educator and inspirational mentor.
Thank you. And for those of you that are just now joining us, hello, I'm Nikki Geiger. Dorothea Gordon just finished talking about her experiences as a writer, and we are interviewing Jo Ann Gramlich, who is our featured author. We are live with Festival of Storytellers. Thank you to all of the staff and ReadersMagnet who sponsored this event. And now we have Jo Ann, who is going to tell us about how she got into her writing.
Okay, so first I would like to say thank you for everybody for having me and taking an interest in my books. So my books are I'm gonna hold them up. Talk Playing With Me Mommy and Talk Playing With Me Daddy. I work as a speech-language pathologist right now, presently, I work with the population of 2 to 5 years old. And for 26 years, I worked with school-age children, kindergarten through 8th grade, and it's simultaneously working with the little ones in the homes after school. So I just recently retired a year ago. It's already been a year. So from the Buffalo schools, and now I'm just working with the little ones. But along the way, I did create these books. So let's see, that's a long time ago all this began, but I have to kind of think in processes here. So let's see. Of course, I went to college. I have my bachelor's and master's in speech-language pathology, and my master's project was accepted for the ASHA conference, and I chose parent involvement. I just knew it was something that was very important when working with children. So that experience, after getting, the project was accepted to the conference. And then once I graduated from college, I felt like all this work, it's a lot. Of course, we all know going through school is very technical, a lot of work, a lot of responsibility, etc. And I kind of thought, wow, it just stops here. That's it. And so lo and behold, I get this postcard in the mail, and it's this opportunity to write fiction or nonfiction material through the Children's Institute of Literature in Connecticut. And back at that time, everything was mailed correspondence. So it wasn't, the easiness of putting it through on a computer. But anyways, I did take the course, and it did allow me to get some credits for my job, which was a nice little pay increase for getting the credits in accredited school. And so it definitely taught me the fundamentals of writing nonfiction. I started out with fiction. I liked the colorful language and creating the stories, but I really enjoyed pulling different informations from different sources to create those articles. And that allowed me to have some parenting articles published in local and state magazine publications. Getting your child ready for school begins at birth, talking to your child, peer helpers, and baby talk, and how to keep this conversation going. So that experience, was simultaneously happening while I'm working at school, full-time and part-time. And, I see that with my job at the school, the full-time school, public school job as a speech therapist, the caseloads are very high. And, of course, we're doing the best we can to help these children with their communication delays and disorders, but you can only do so much. And these kids are coming in kindergarten with significant delays. And then after school, the parents are asking me, how can I get my kid to talk? And how am I going to get my child to talk? And they're, very nervous because their kid's 2 years old. And generally by 2, children have 50 to 200 words. So I knew that I thought, well, I want to help support the families, and maybe I could come up with some type of resource or a fun tool to support them. And I started writing a theory book, and I didn't get too deep into it, but I kind of thought, well, these parents, they're two parent families working full time, coming home, running these kids here, running them there. When are they going to ever have time to process how, the progressions of speech and language and how this all works, the technical aspects? I kind of thought, well, how about I do something fun? So I did some research on the activity books that were out in the market at the time. And I brought a few home, and I thought, wow, these are, so long and heavy, 300 to 500 activities. And I know how I am at school. It's definitely a ready, set, go. You got 5 kids in front of you, and there is no time to say, well, what are we going to do? Because they just move and groove and really need to be stimulated right away and get their senses going. And I thought to myself, well, as I was looking through it, I thought maybe I could create something a little more condensed. The parents could carry, the mommy book in their diaper bag. I didn't have the daddy book just yet, but they could carry, the mommy book in a diaper bag in their purse. I had mentioned earlier that sometimes you see these little ones with their parents in the doctor's offices waiting in the waiting room, or the dentist's offices, getting yelled at because they can't sit still because they have all this nervous energy and they're ready to channel it, but they're expected to sit like everybody else, like an adult, and it's impossible. Sometimes I want to get up and jump with them. So I thought, I have to think of something that's fun and educational at the same time. So I looked into it, and I decided that I would create this Talk Clean With Me Mommy book. And it's broken down to 3 chapters of infant, toddler, and preschool activities that are centered around daily routines and within the home. Not all of them, but a lot of them, because a lot of the learning takes place during daily routines. A majority of the learning opportunities are happening during daily routines. So therefore, we have our meal time, our snack time, our dress time, bath time, snack time, play time, story time. all these different experiences can happen during the daily routines to get the child to talk. So and then I thought about activities that kids like to enjoy. So there's a ton of, a majority of activities. Let's see, we got counting games, shape games, color games, listening games, spelling direction games. What else? Oh, animal games, so many musical games, finger play games, all kinds of stimulating activities to get your child to talk. And it starts, like I said, at infants, goes to the toddler and the preschool level. And at the same time, you can modify or expand on the activities. Generally, I would say, 2 to 3 minutes if you want to interact with your child or with one of the activities, or you can take to 5 minutes, you could take it to 10 minutes. You can expand on the activities, you can modify the activities. For example, the 5 Little Monkeys is in the infant section around 7 months. And everybody, including us adults, loves 5 Little Monkeys, the finger play song. So if you're going to engage your child in this activity during the toddler or preschool years, you can, I'm just gonna bring these out. You can incorporate fun little things like finger puppets, stick puppets, incorporate the book, incorporate the Barrel of Monkeys. I have all this stuff here. I'll just bring it out to show you guys. All kinds of fun stuff, right? See those monkeys hanging out ready to play. So that is the idea, just because we're trying to get these kids ready for school, because as soon as they come to school, they're expected to start reading. And if they don't have that foundation of understanding, the sounds that go with the letters and blending sounds and rhyming, it's really difficult. And they're struggling before they even get started. So that's why I really wanted to help support that early intervention period and preschool period for kids and make it fun and educational at the same time. And right off the bat, when you look in my book, there is a game. So there's an I Spy game. I mean, right off the bat, they can just simply look on the back and find that sailboat, and it's floating in this rainbow of toys here. So there's game number 1 is on the outside of the cover. So it's just really kind of magical and fun. And I wanted to make it inviting for parents and kids to want to say, wow, what's going on inside there? Very colorful, because that's what kids love, vivid colors. So that's what'll happen. I mean, I could go on and on, but I'm not sure I want any more information, but.
Okay. That was a good introduction to your books, Jo Ann. Thank you. And I would, along with that, I'd like to add, when I had my gymnastics school, for you parents out there in the audience, if you have a calendar, you can do different locomotor skills, such as your hop, your jump, your leap, skip, walk, run, and don't forget levels. Walking, for example, at a very low level, high on your tiptoes, things that children can do on a daily basis. For example, day 1, this is May 2nd. So do different things, put on your calendar, jump to the bathroom to brush your teeth, or before bed, do a stretch exercise with mommy and daddy, and different things like that. So anyway, without further ado, we do have already a little thing from our audience. It says, I love the fact that you 3 lovely ladies are wearing blue. Did you guys plan it ahead, or was there a meaning behind it? And go ahead, Dorothea, you can jump in on this one.
Yes, I always feel very comfortable in the color of blue. And so when I showed up, when Nikki showed up, she was also in blue. And Joanne came in pink, and then decided, let's make a threesome of blue ladies. And if I may just say, as a spiritual advisor, blue is the color of the 5th chakra. And the 5th chakra is the power of the word. So here we are. Powerful words.
Okay, so Joanne, let's get back to the beginning. What first inspired you to become a speech-language pathologist?
Okay, so that was also a long time ago, but I will think back. So when I graduated from high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do right away. So I decided to work in the business offices downtown as a secretary and receptionist and whatever, however it worked out, because I was actually job hopping. So the question is, oh, where are you working now? Where are you working now? Because I was either getting laid off or finding a new job. It just wasn't working out. So during that experience, my brothers and sisters were having children. And of course, I found that I could develop fun and loving relationships with them very easily, or any of my friends' children that I encountered. And then at that same time, I was also getting frustrated with the job scene downtown because it just wasn't for me. I had a hard time sitting like that at a desk. I remember always coming to my mom, what's for dinner? And was it time to come home yet? It was just not for me. It just wasn't stimulating my senses enough. So I did decide to take a couple courses at the community college while I was working full-time. And honestly, the very last job that I had in the business office, I did love my boss. And he just made me feel independent and confident and what have you. But the job, the actual business office was closing down. So I said, well, that means I need to say goodbye to the scene anyways. So I did leave it. I looked into being a classical teacher in the classroom, but then I heard about speech-language pathology and I looked into that, and I really liked the diverse opportunities and the innovative endeavors after graduating, the opportunities. So, and then also being able to work with one child at a time or 5 children at a time, tapping into their individual needs and developing special relationships, which it's been ideal for me. So basically what inspired me was the fact that I was so frustrated working. I wasn't angry or anything. It just wasn't moving forward. So like I said, then when my nieces and nephews came along and it was like that, I could connect with them. It all came together. So then I pursued going to college for that in that field. And here we are today.
And then how did you make your books come to life, and what inspired you to actually start creating them?
Well, okay, so like I had mentioned about my master's project getting accepted to the ASHA convention, American Speech and Hearing Association, and doing the presentation on parent involvement. And then that combined with working with the children in the Buffalo public schools, knowing that our caseloads were so heavy. And, I tried to impact them and, of course, inspire them and help them master their goals, but they're coming into kindergarten and first grade with such significant delays that you can only do so much throughout a day, and we do our best. And then again, that situation where a lot of the times parents weren't involved. I'm sure they would love to be involved, but they're just trying to thrive themselves. So between that and then after school, parents are asking me how can I get my kid to talk? He's 2 years old. He has one word. I'm very upset. I'm anxious. And, generally those kids move forward. All the kids move forward. But it was just, what could I do to help? What could I do to further help? I did have some parenting articles published. And that was my first experience as far as publications. And then, like I said, I decided to tackle the first book, the mommy book. And I came up with this idea. I mentioned I, did the research, found the activity books were very heavy with activities for mom, and Tommy was already gone because they were, he's a bumblebee and he wants it right now. So that's what inspired me. Just wanting to help further write, and also allow me to keep tapping into my own creative energies too, keeping things fun and keeping myself busy. I was playing piano at the time. I took piano as an adult. I was writing at the same time. And so it just was something I wanted to do to help. The bottom line is I knew I needed to do something to help. And I didn't want it to just stop with my jobs. I wanted to go the distance. But of course, I never really knew during the process. I don't know about how you guys feel, but I didn't really know what I was doing. It's a phase. Each time it's like an illumination stage where you complete one phase and then you come to a halt and think, wow, that was hard, but I got through it. Now how do I do the next part? But things come to you. They do. So that's why you can't stop and you can't put it down, because if you do, you're never going to finish it. So I know how I am with all projects. When I finally get to that last, let's say, inch of work, I do put it down because I feel like, oh, I completed it and it's just got one more little thing to do. And I do get to it. But what I'm saying is don't ever give up. Just be patient with yourself. It doesn't have to be done overnight. Like I said, I would work on my books in the summertime because I was working 2 jobs during the school year and I would never be able to get to them. So I started this in 2003 and it got published in 2014. And I did send letters out to traditional publishers, but got to the query letters, they got denied. So I just decided, you know what, as a student, if I were a student in the speech language therapy program at the college, if somebody gave me this book, I would be thrilled, because when we're doing our studies in the field, when we're in college, it's so technical compared to when you get out working with the kids, because you have to be creative and come up with ideas to make learning educational and fun at the same time. So I thought, if I could help one person, I could help many people, however many people I can help. And of course, especially the parents with their little ones. So that's how it all began.
Okay, so then how did you come up? I've got one question from me and one question from the audience. How did you come up with the titles of your books? And are these books more, why did you write the books? Were they more for the parents or what?
Well, okay, as far as they're for parents, to help parents understand how to get their child to communicate and to engage and create those special bonding moments. Just having an understanding that within each activity, it gives a few objectives, step-by-step directions, very simple, sample dialogue on how to elicit communication with those best practice strategies. So, I mean, we're talking basic information so parents can get right in and communicate with their child. So yes, it's for parents, but it's also to advance their child's language skills. So it's for the family. As far as and listen, of course, these are, mommy, daddy, siblings can work with their brothers and sisters, grandparents, educators, speech language therapists, anybody who can get their hands on these. They're for everybody to help the little ones. So it's not just,
not just parents.
Yeah. Anyway, I have a boy that I mentor, and he said to me the other day, when are you going to come out and talk, play, and read with me, Grandma? I said, I don't know. So, but it is a great idea. Like keep the
Yeah, it's not just for parents.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to ask or add, Dorothea?
Yeah, I was wondering, I'm always interested in the emotional aspect of people. Can you describe the emotions you felt when you were writing these books?
Well, I mean, it was fun. It was creative. It was creative energies flowing. It was fun, and it was quiet time. I mean, I'm not going to lie that sometimes when I was working on these projects, especially when I got to formatting the books, because I went through a self-publisher, and there's times I was like, Lord, why am I stuck here in front of the computer? Everybody is out having fun, and I'm trying to figure out how to make this go forward. But again, when you accomplish that next stage, it's very exciting because you're moving forward, and it's a process that you need to hold on to if you believe in your product or your books to help other people. But I enjoyed it, and like I mentioned earlier when we were talking, that it's, for me, it allows me to tap into my creative energy, and then it's the experiences. Every experience is a new experience, and I've really enjoyed the people I've met, the people that have supported me and helped me along the way. It's just something I didn't really expect to happen, but I'm happy to be on this journey. So I really appreciate doing it. So it's positive emotion.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. The concern, as an educator and those kinds of things, the concern that I see as far as the interactions between children and parents, just out in the public, it's kind of non-existent, because the parents on the phone, chatting with somebody, and the child is going, "Mommy, mommy, watch me. Mommy, mommy, what's that? Mommy, mommy." It's mostly mommy, mommy. Well, mommy, mommy is not paying one twit of attention to their child when their child needs that attention. And sometimes children act as distractors because they're jealous of the attention that mommy is giving to whoever is on the phone and neglecting the child. So in your book, Talking, Playing, and Reading with the little one, what's the one important message that you would convey to parents?
Well, let's see. Well, that's the titles of my books say it all. Talk, Play, and Read is a really important message and theme because it takes, how am I trying to say? It takes like you said, neuroscience studies about brain development and turns it into a message that parents can easily understand, and that is talk, play, and read with your child so you can help them develop. Talking, playing, reading with your child every day helps with brain development, language development, vocabulary development, self-esteem, confidence, self-confidence, and these skills directly correlate with their child's ability to succeed in school. And who doesn't want to see their children succeed in school? So school success, of course, leads to positive outcomes in our community with high graduation rates and contributing citizens. So that's the biggest message. Talk, play, and read with your child every day to get them ready for kindergarten, because it's so important. Because the goal is to graduate from high school and get out to help our world. So, and it all begins at birth.
That's right. That's right. And reading to your child, even before they're 6 months old and all of those things. So, in your books, Talk, Play, Read to Me, Mommy, and Daddy, and you have an interactive ebook. You got your interactive ebook right there?
Yeah, I'll bring it up. Okay, let's see.
Okay. Show us a little bit about that, and then tell us how the mommy book and the daddy book are different.
Okay, so go ebook. I'm just gonna turn on the covers. Yeah. All right, so I'll just show that for a second. And so basically, the interactive ebook is the book coming to life with visual images, visual graphic images, and audio spots and sound effects and colorful animation. And it is the exact format of the, let me go back to the beginning here, of the Mommy softcover book, in that it has the table of contents, and you can touch each activity. It'll take you right to where you want to go, that activity. The introduction, it has the developmental language milestones, which allow parents to have an understanding and awareness of what language skills to expect next, because how each child interacts, talks, and plays with others determines their development, how they're managing and moving forward. So it's important for parents to have an idea, because just in case if a child is not acquiring skills, then they want to seek out, if their child is having difficulties or delays, then they want to seek out their pediatrician to have a speech language evaluation done and maybe determine if their child needs speech therapy during that early intervention period of time or preschool. So, okay, so we have the developmental language milestones, and then, which is, like I said, it's a guideline to help parents know what to expect next. And then we have our interactive slides. So we have our games for infants. I'll just roll real fast. Some musical games, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, Petty Cake, Petty Cake. We have, if you press on these audio spots, I'll try to get this here. Here's the blue choo-choo train. And
Where's the soft teddy bear?
And that particular activity is called What Is It? Your baby can learn about objects and the actions by exploring. And we have Pop the Bubble, a lot of fun.
Wait, what do they do in Pop the Bubble? They have to touch it?
So it's just saying popping bubbles will excite your baby. Your baby will love watching the bubbles as they float in the air and hearing the gentle popping sounds they make. So they're really just hearing the popping bubbles on this particular slide. So, but it's just letting parents know that at this time they're developing those sound combinations, the vowel consonant and consonant vowel combinations around 5-6 months. So and then we got our 5 little monkeys, of course. So, and then I'll just take you really quick. I don't want to take too much time in this, but to the toddler section now. Your child's skills are advancing. 1-year-olds they have a couple words: mama, dada, baby, ball, light, milk, more, duck. So again, you can press the audio spots, and it's called Can You Name It? Let me see.
Quack, says the duck.
It's real simple because the kids are, using 1 and 2 word, 1 and 2 word utterances, but we're still trying to communicate with them in our grammatically complete sentences, but smaller phrases and simple sentences. Mirror games, animal games, 10 fort games within the home. We all know when we're little, we set up a table, covered it up, and pretend we were in school or going shopping or just hiding out during a snowstorm. Whatever you want to do with your kids, just to keep that language, keep that talking going on. So, and then
how does the mommy book differ from the daddy book that you have?
Okay, so the idea behind the daddy book, that one was just published last year, July 16, 2020. And so I actually started it in 2016, but again, life gets busy and I couldn't get to it. So when we were sent home from school last year because of the pandemic, I had basically 1 week off before I had to go to teletherapy. So I pushed the overtime button and got this done and, ready to get into the publisher to set it up for me, the formatting and what have you. So I was so happy to get it published by July 2020. But in any case, all right, so the idea behind the daddy book, it's a counterpart. So they're very similar in the activities, but the daddy book comes with a bonus chapter of daddy and me bonding activities. And then the idea behind it is that mommy and daddy can do these books together simultaneously with their little ones and then have their own perspectives or whatever the family dynamic is. There's, maybe there's just a mommy, maybe there's just daddy, maybe there's mom and dad. However, there's just an uncle, there's just a grandpa. However, people want to use them. Because when we were allowed to go out in the communities, dads were always the first ones to participate when I asked them to demonstrate the activities. And at the end, they would always say, well, what about us? And I'm like, you're right. What about you? Because most of the parent programs are centered around the maternal mom and a lot of the research. So then I thought, you are right. So I came up with this idea to create the daddy book and how fun it would be for dads, for moms. These are great baby shower gifts too. I set them up in, I don't have what I set them up in gift bags. Oh, here we go. Right here. In little gift bags as presents, for the holidays or for baby showers or expecting moms, whatever the situation is. But how exciting it would be for for mom to come home from a baby shower and say, Dad, look what you got, right? And put a smile on his face because now he's included. So I know, that would put a little smile and tickle him a little bit because, he's excited about baby too. So really it came to life with the idea of the experiences of going out in the communities and connecting with dads and them feeling not included.
Right.
So that's where we are with that. But thank you.
For those of you that are just joining us, this is the Festival of Storytellers. And this is our last day, last evening, last everything. And again, we want to thank ReadersMagnet and the staff who have been working very, very hard for sponsoring this event. And my name is Nikki Geiger. We have Dorothea Gordon as a panelist. And we have our featured author, Jo Ann Gramlich.
That's fine.
Hi, I switch back and forth. Anyway, so welcome to all of you in the audience. And we have from Michael from Dublin, $1 million question. Are you working on another book?
No, I'm not right now. No, but I did mention, again, a lot of these things we talked about earlier. I mentored this little boy. She's not that little anymore, but anyways, he was asking me about what about talk, play, and read with me, grandma? And then I said, well, what about talk, play, and read with me, auntie? So if I had extra hands to help me come up with, 96 more activities, yes, there'd be another book, but it would take me a little time to do that. So, but yeah, you never know. We don't know. I don't know. Maybe I will end up doing something like that. So, but not
So
just.
then another question from the audience is, how do you balance your time as a teacher and a writer?
Well, I have to admit that.
Carefully.
Yes.
It's all those spinning plates, right?
Yes. Yep. I have to admit, I have a lot of energy. I've been blessed with a lot of energy. I mean, I'm a twin, and I have to admit, my mother told me I almost failed kindergarten because I couldn't focus and sit still. So she had me tested, and I was fine. I just had to channel my energy into art, music, and gym. And I'm not married, and I'll tell you, if I were married and I had a husband here, you'll think I was crazy because I cannot sit still. I am constantly, I'll sit still. If I finally do sit still, I fall asleep. So what I'm trying to say is I have a lot of energy and I'm able to juggle, but a lot of my social time, I'm very aware of what I can and can't do as I get older. Because if I said yes to everybody who invites you places, I couldn't really do all of this because you also have to be strong in the mind. Like I can't stay up really late and socialize too late because then I can't think straight. I think you guys know what I mean, right? You have to balance this. You have to be mentally strong. Like, for example, communicating on a platform like this. I was in bed very early last night. I've been preparing, and I know my limits, and I tried to avoid phone calls, to be distracting phone calls. So it's all just balancing. I balance it all out. I make sure I get the important things done. And this week, I'm definitely going to have some fun after this. So,
Did you have anything to ask, Dorothea?
I just noticed there is another question from the audience which says, who is your inspiration as an author?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. I mean, are we looking for am I looking for another? Well, you know what? Honestly, it's the kids.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm doing this all for the kids. It's all about fun, making learning fun and educational at the same time, creating special bonding moments, and then helping parents understand the process. So the kids are the number one. It's all about them.
Okay, so another question. We have developmental language milestones. Can you go through each milestone for infants, toddlers, preschoolers? For example, how many words should infants be expected to understand versus how many words can they actually say, and all of those?
Why don't I explain first of what developmental milestones are? Developmental milestones are skills that children acquire, various language skills that children acquire during that early period of birth through 5 years old, 5 years of age. And although each child acquires language at a different rate due to individual differences, the language skills can be acquired during that, like I mentioned, the 5-year period. So developmental milestones are language skills that can be met during different time frames. And it's really kind of like a guide for parents to have an understanding of what to expect next and have an awareness of what to expect next in case there's an absence of some of the milestones. So, for example, because most kids what am I trying to say? Most kids can master the skills, but some are not. So that's where the delays and the difficulties come in. So it's important that parents know what skills are being met and what skills are not being met. So for example, at 18 months, generally little toddler would have 10 to 20 words. At 2 years old, a 24-month-old would have an expressive vocabulary of 50 to 200 words. So say that, and for example, for me, when I'm working with those 2-year-olds, they do not have 50 to 200 words if they have an expressive language delay. So they're generally coming in with 1 or 2 words, and that's where my work begins, how to get them to talk and communicate. And then if you have, so what these are called, they're called red flags or warning signs. So if I'll just go through a few of the red flags, and then I'll talk about the typical skills that we need to have an awareness of. So the red flags and warnings would be, for example, an absence of vocalizations, babbling, word approximations, true words, word combinations, sentence building. Your child might have difficulty sharing information and ideas and expressing their wants and needs. They might have difficulty comprehending information that's orally presented and, difficulty following directions. They might suddenly have an absence of speech altogether, which you would want to have that addressed immediately. And they may not even enjoy interacting with other children. So those are red flags. Stagnant and slow speech. Maybe your child is having difficulty being understood by others, where they can't produce their sounds and words and follow the adult patterns of words. So all of these are red flags and warning signs. And that's when you want to seek out your pediatrician to get a speech and language evaluation. And again, if they have qualified, then you can get your child treated through a early intervention or preschool program. So as far as and that's why that birth through 3 years is really a time frame to monitor really closely, because it's crucial to understand if there are delays and difficulties. Because again, when I was working in the Buffalo schools, these programs are free. I go out in the community, I go to the daycares, I go to the preschools. We're not allowed to go in the homes right now because of the pandemic, but eventually that will open up. But it's a service that's available, it's free, and we're here to help your child. So, like I said, when the kids come in school, sometimes in kindergarten, they're really behind already. Their communication skills are significantly delayed. So, and unfortunately, I don't know if they don't know about the programs or what's happening, but they get the help, but they can get it sooner. That's called early intervention, to intervene. So, all right, so an infant, from birth to 5, infants are cooing. They have reflexive smiles, where if you smile at your baby, they'll smile back at you. Mm-hmm. They are, what else are they doing? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. Babies. I have a little notes here. Oh yeah, they're turning their head to a sound source. They're listening to loud sounds. They're vocalizing pleasure and displeasure sounds. And then when we go from 6 months to 11 months, your baby is starting to babble, those consonant vowel combinations. So you have CV and VC combinations, consonant vowel consonant, which is like a pa, ba, da, ma, and they string them together. And it's so cute. Of course, that's the personality phase coming out with the baby. They're able to communicate using gestures, such as holding their arms up or waving. They're taking an interest in peekaboo, patty cake. What else? Peekaboo, patty cake, 5 little monkeys, and so big. So, and then of course, they're continuing to imitate sounds. And then around 12 months to 17 months, we're hearing the first 2 words with meaning: mama, dada, baby, ball, milk, more. They're attending to a toy or a story for maybe a minute or 2, because again, these are little bumblebees. They are following simple one-step directions: come here, give me, sit down. And I'm gonna check my notes here. I think that's all I got for that period. They also they're pointing to objects of, familiar objects in the house, and they're on toys, and then are also able to point to family members. So, and then 18 months to 23 months, they are starting to communicate with, 10 to 20 words. They're able to string some words together: mommy sock, more milk. They're imitating and making animal sounds, and they're pointing to pictures, and again, participating in finger plays. And then at 24 months, 2 years, there's a big like a big vocabulary explosion, a burst of words. 50 to 200 words is their expressive vocabulary. They are from 2 to 3. They are, putting 2 and 3 word phrases together, following, 1 and 2 step directions, answering questions, from simple little stories. What else? Engaging in the finger play songs. And then from 3 to 4 years old, their skills are definitely moving forward. They jump from 50 to 200 words to 900 to 1,500 words that they can express. They also understand 1,000 to 2,000 words. They are communicating with 4 to 6 word utterance or sentences, grammatically complete sentences with our verbs, our articles, pronouns, and prepositional phrases. Again, answering questions, following the directions, reciting nursery rhymes now at this point, and finger play songs. And then at 5 years old, their skills have really advanced. So we're communicating in 5 to 8 word sentences, repeating 6 to 9 word sentences back when upon request, identifying spatial concepts, spatial and locational concepts, labeling them, identifying them by pointing, defining vocabulary, answering more complex sentences related to theme-related stories, following complex directions, and they're beginning to read, and they're also advancing comprehension. So you can see from that progression from that little bitty sound at, birth through 3 months or 5 months to that complete complex sentence at 5 years old. And, that's the typical development. And so if you have somebody who just might be a little bit delayed in their speech and language skills, that's why it's so helpful to do the talking and playing reading, because these kids can catch up. They just need that constant stimulation. Mm-hmm. And, I remember with my nieces and nephews, my twin sister has twins, and at 3 years old, at 3 years old, we could ask him to do 2 and 3 digit math, and he was like, bam, bam, giving us the answers. It was amazing. Another one's talk about metamorphosis at 3. I'm like, oh my gosh. So they can learn and they can say these words. You just have to expose them to it. They're the sponges, and never underestimate these kids. They're so smart.
Mm-hmm. They are. So I was just thinking while you were saying all of these things, have you found the situation where children have been learning sign language, but their vocabulary, especially sign language under the age of 6 months, and has that enhanced their verbal skills, or what would you say?
Well, from my experiences, I honestly haven't worked with a lot of children with sign language, but on their individual education plan, sometimes there's a goal. If they're just developing language, it'll mention to express vocabulary through different modalities. So it would be sign or pictures or communication. So I only know a few signs. That's not in, my forte, but I'll do the gestures. I'll do a lot of gesturing, but generally the kids that I get, as soon as I stimulate them through songs and gestures and the games and the visuals, they move forward. So I really haven't had a lot of experience with sign. I'm sorry about that. I just haven't had that experience.
I was just curious. Okay, so can you give us 5 different strategies to help enhance children's language skills?
Sure. Okay. So starting with the infants, using a very expressive voice, encouraging tone, make that eye contact, smile at your baby, laugh at your baby. Slowly, if you slowly produce your sounds and your words and your simple phrases, expand on your simple phrases and utterances. Say you're going for a walk outside and you see a bird and your little one says, oh, birdie, birdie. Well, you can expand on that and say, yes, that's a bird. The bird is flying. The bird is flying high in the sky, and ask your child to repeat it back to you. And, of course, if he leaves off an article, the, and a verb, just repeat it again and he will get it. So, so that's adding information, expanding on their utterances. When you're reading to your children, ask those questions and let them ask you questions. Let them turn the pages, act out the vocabulary and the concepts, and repeat the information. Repeating is so important. Constant bombardment with repeating, because just because you read a story once doesn't mean they're going to remember it. If you read it a few times, eventually they'll be retelling you the whole story on their own.
Exactly.
There is self-talk. A lot of times, in the households, we're in a hurry. So the doorbell's ringing. We just suddenly go running at the doorbell. Well, why not stop and say, hey, Liam, come here. The doorbell's ringing. Did you hear that? It's so loud. And provide that colorful language, and then ask them, oh, what was that noise? Remind them what we were doing. Fido's dog bowl needs food. Let's go get his chewy food for him. Let's put it in. Let's fill that water bowl. It's so wet, splash, splash. Oh, don't spill all that water on the floor. Just keep communicating with them. Instead of just rushing through it, it just takes a minute, right? A second to talk. We all can talk and do things at the same time. There's also parallel talk when your child is, playing solo. Instead of having them play solo there, you can kind of be like a narrator and talk about what he's doing. He might be pushing some cars on the rug. Talk about, oh, that truck, it's moving so fast. It's such a big yellow truck with those big wheels. It goes vroom, vroom, vroom. Add that colorful language once again, and then ask him to repeat some information back to you as you're engaging with him. Finger play songs, music. Gosh, I'm singing all the time with the kids. The Wheels on the Bus is probably the melody that I use for all the song, anything I'm teaching. So, like, for example, I just got done doing zoo theme and jungle theme. So it's not the Wheels on the Bus. It's the tiger in the jungle goes roar, roar, roar. You can just make up your own lyrics and teach your kids vocabulary through song. So
I used to do the same thing with here we go around the mulberry bush.
Yes, it's just comes through. Even at Christmas, I don't always remember the lyrics of the Christmas songs, but I incorporate whatever I'm working on. It works. So It just, again, making learning fun and engaging and educational at the same time, and you'll be so happy with the outcome with your kids and creating those special bonding moments. I mean, memories forever. So,
right. And I used to tell the parents, do not tell your children what to do. Tell them what they are doing. For example, oh, you are walking very fast. Oh, I see that you're running now,
Yes.
And, and you can throw in, and when we get to the corner, we're going to stop.
Yeah, that's good. That is what you need to do. And then also, even during daily routines, I know there's mundane routines, who likes chores, but why not include your child? I mean, if you're sweeping the floor, if you don't have a little kiddie broom, get a measuring stick or take your ruler and put a rubber band around with a towel and pretend it's his broom, and he goes swish, 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 and talk about the bristles, sweeping up the dirt, or let them bake with you and talk about the measurements and the measuring cups, and that colorful language with frosting and what are we, sprinkles, all kinds of fun stuff, and just enjoy, because they love it. They want attention, and it does build their self-confidence and let them know they can do a lot of things. So, and complete a lot of things.
Good. Do you have anything to add, Dorothea?
Just that I'm the proud grandmother of a 15-month-old.
Oh.
And, her mother has taught her sign language because she can't say please. So when they say, you have to say please, she goes like this. She rubs like that. Oh, are you done? Done. So, all this. And I just have a question with regard to bilingualism. Like Canada is bilingual, and in your country, they also have a lot of probably Spanish and English bilingualism. Have you noticed that children who are speaking two or learning two languages at the same time take longer?
Well, at my school last year, the last couple of years, we've had a lot of English newcomers, they call them, and they're coming in. I mean, it's heartbreaking because they're coming in with zero language. And
1 minute.
Okay, and then when you ask them, just simply, can you tell me your name? And they don't even know what you're saying. It's very painful to be in that experience because you want them to be able to express themselves. Yeah. But within that year, 6 to 8 months later, they're not talking 100% as to where they should be, but because of, like you said, the immersion, they're blooming. So it's a great thing. So it's wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, well, it's time to say goodbye, and we want to thank our audience for joining us today on the Festival of Storytellers, sponsored by ReadersMagnet. And all three of us, Dorothea, myself, and Jo Ann, are all writers, and I'm sure avid readers also. And if you're interested in any of our books, go to ReadersMagnet and look up our names, and you'll see a plethora of books, all kinds of books being offered. And all three of us have been educators and kind of along the same lines. So thank you for joining us today. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
and Dorothea.
You're
Okay,
welcome. Okay.
and we're done.